too much visiting over in this way, or too much work, or traveling, or whatever it is one does that can imbalance one. It's not a big deal, but it can. Too much giving, too much caregiving, whatever it is. Too much spiritual seeking. It can. Anything can imbalance one, where we get into a momentum where we're outside of ourselves. And we forget what this all is all about. Is this interior pond? How's it doing? You're the custodian of this pond, of your pond. Take out some leaves or leave them, You get to be the custodian. Maybe the dragonflies like the leaves. It's very poetic, caring for oneself. It's very poetic. It's where poetry comes from, and creativity. It emerges from this self-care, because then one gets filled up and enlivened, enlivened when you give to yourself, and it starts to little magic starts to happen, little fireflies start to come. It's hard to be in the nuance and the subtlety of magic if we're depleted. Right? And it's a soul depletion. The body gets depleted, I know. And that is to be tended to, but this is another kind of depletion that can translate as body depletion. There are some days where your body just needs to rest, right? And I feel like it's every 5 days of doing, we need 1 day of rest in whatever way. If you give yourself something like that, unless you have a lot to catch up with inside, and then you have to catch up with rest. I spent in my 20s, middle to late 20s, I spent like a year resting. I mean, not just like laying down. I did yoga, all kinds of things, walks and meditation, but my body needed to catch up with all the doing of my life, even though I had been very spiritual in nature. It was kind of just like pulling the plug on participating in life. Some of you have probably done that, taking a good amount of time off as best one can. And it can look kind of interesting to the outside world, like, what are you doing? Maybe. You're running out of funds and you don't feel motivated to do anything in terms of a thing, in the world. But one is doing things, one is taking walks and picking up a leaf and looking at it, really looking, finding out what's going on inside and creating inner balance. It's almost like, how in some cultures when somebody dies, they take a year to grieve. It's like we have inside of us a need to take time off to catch up to ourselves. It's not like grieving, but it's maybe just taking account. Grief can be a part of it, but taking account how one has been so far in one's life. Where have we been, and giving our attention to, and wanting to catch up inside to what's true. Like finding out for oneself where we are at and what's true. That's not supported in this culture, but I believe in it. It might not need to be that long, but just to be in the unknown about how long. Even if one has to do certain things that maybe the rest of the time is in this kind of cocoon, a cocoon of harmonizing. I love that word, harmonizing. It's very Taoist, right? There must be a Taoist in here. I think that's why I like that guy, that dude. You know, some kind of Taoist inside that's like, find your balance. A little of this, a little of that, let go of that.